Very much, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Ajay Mathur, Director General of the Energy Resources Institute. I'd also like to acknowledge the guest of honour, Mr. U.P. Singh, Secretary of Ministry of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation. Good morning, sir. And Mr. Anil Razdan for that very interesting and thoughtful presentation. Other dignitaries on the dais, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is a World Renewable Energy Technology Congress, and I guess I'm the person who represents the world. We will be hearing a great deal about what is really very phenomenal work and very exciting developments going on in India at the moment. But I thought that I might introduce an international perspective by talking about the Australian experience. There is much, as you will see or you will hear, that we have in common where we can learn from each other. There's much that we see and learn from on the Indian side, and perhaps there is some things that are going on in the Australian renewable energy space that we can share, not just with Indian partners, but with others around the world. The Australian government has a vision for affordable and reliable energy that meets our international commitments. Our expertise in renewables, particularly in pumped hydro, wind, solar energy integration and remote electrification, puts Australia at the forefront of international energy developments. This didn't just happen out of thin air. Australia designed a number of policies over many years, and I spent quite a number of years working on climate change policy in Australia, so I have very close familiarity with this. For example, we introduced a domestic renewable energy target. We provided finance and venture capital, both from government and private sources. We introduced fairly sophisticated electricity tariffs to manage supply and demand and to incentivize the uptake of renewables, investing in the right skills, working between the federal and the state level, all those things that allowed us to ensure a strong renewable uptake that balances affordability with reliability. Under the Paris Accord, Australia has committed to bringing down our emissions by 26 to 28% below 2005 levels by 2030. That represents roughly a 50% per capita drop in emissions. That's quite a significant dilution. Renewables are a very big part of that story. We're expecting that by 2020, around 23% of Australia's electricity generation will be generated by renewables, and we're actually on track to achieving that. But we can't rest on our laurels even though we're making that progress. We constantly have to keep an eye on how we're tracking, on the state of technology, and whether in fact we have the right policies in place. And this is why the Australian government recently commissioned our chief scientist to undertake a comprehensive review of our energy system. And we are now in the process of working towards implementing some of the recommendations of that review. Just to give you a few examples that show the level of our commitment to renewable energy generation. So in Australia, as I say, we've had quite a big uptake in renewable power generation, but about more than 90% of that has come from solar and wind. In 2017, clean energy investment was Australia's highest on record at $11 billion. That placed us at 7th of all countries in the world for the extent of renewable energy investment. We, like other speakers have mentioned, continue to grapple with the issue of intermittency and the challenges to the grid that renewables present. So the Australian government is funding the Snowy Hydro Limited's feasibility study into the Snowy 2.0 project, and it's effectively a pumped hydro expansion of the existing hydroelectricity project. So it will deliver about 2,000 megawatts of energy and 175 hours of stored power. That is a phenomenal, it's a very large size project. And in fact, if that does proceed, and a decision will be made later this year, it will be the biggest battery in the southern hemisphere, helping to make wind and solar more reliable. Australia is one of the sunniest continents in the world, and we have a massive potential for solar to make a significant contribution to electricity generation. So Australia, unsurprisingly, has one of the highest uptake rates per capita of solar panels in the world. More than 1 in 5 Australian households now have solar panels installed on their roof. As renewable energy is at the helm of new technological advances, the talk of renewables without battery storage sounds incomplete. And so I've been very interested to hear the perspectives of other speakers this morning about the question of battery power. We're also leading the way in residential battery storage, with nearly 21,000 battery storage systems installed in 2017 alone, leaping 3 times from 2016. So there's an exponential growth in domestic battery installation in Australia. We're not going to proceed and advance, and I'm sure many people will talk about that, unless we have a commitment to continue research to improve efficiency, develop new technologies, and bring down costs. And in particularly, that goes to cost-competitive battery storage solutions. So our leading edge universities and publicly funded research organisations will lead this work. And one recent example is that the Australian government announced $7.5 million for 2 new specialist research hubs to focus on innovations in energy storage. I am a strong believer that the game changer in renewables and electric mobility will come from advancements in storage technology, making renewables competitive with traditional fossil fuels, noting that we've already seen significant reductions in renewables prices, and especially India's leading the way on all of that. We're proud to have installed the world's largest lithium-ion battery storage in South Australia. It's 100 megawatt storage to reduce peak energy prices and to support system stability. And the government is proceeding to fund another large-scale battery of 25 megawatts, reiterating its commitment to renewables. And also, along with all of that, we're partnering with the global renewable energy as a reliable supplier for lithium, which is an essential ingredient, obviously, in the takeoff of renewable energy, including on electric mobility. And we're on track to host the world's 2 biggest lithium mines with Western Australia, likely to produce more than half of the world's lithium supply by the end of this year. So from cutting-edge innovative research, advancements in battery storages, and the sort of work that we're doing to overcome regulatory challenges, Australia and India have a lot in common to strengthen our engagement in this sector. I visited Australia a couple of months ago, accompanying Minister for Commerce and Industry, Minister Prabhu, and he spent quite a bit of time in Australia actually highlighting the transfer of technology and expertise to solar generation and storage and utilisation of power. And he had a very good conversation with our Prime Minister about all those issues. So we're really looking forward to working more with India on those issues. My time and interactions with experts in India have helped me gain better insights into Prime Minister Modi's vision of India's rapidly evolving renewable energy industry. And this is why Australia is so keen to be an important partner in this change. Only a few weeks back, the Australian Prime Minister released a new study into how Australia and India can work together to develop our economic partnerships for the next 20 years, an India economic strategy. And a centrepiece of that strategy is looking at how we can build our relationships in the energy and resources sphere, including on renewables. And of course, Australia was a founding member of the International Solar Alliance, the first international organisation established by and in India. So we're very proud of that, our status as a founding member, and we're very keen to work with India on developing solar technologies together. We have much to learn from each other. So as you can see, the sorts of things that you're grappling with in India, the kinds of issues that you're thinking about, are the same issues that we are thinking about in Australia. I genuinely look forward to a strong and fruitful partnership in this field for many years to come. Thank you.